18, chapter 18 text for each one. Bhagavad Gita.
Gita learn, please.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om Namo Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasa Tato Jaya Mudirayet Nasta Praeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of fortune and learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of God with praise with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. We continue from where we left off. 18, yeah. We continue from where we left off. We take text 16?
16.
Yeah. Yeah. Manaha prasad samyatvam.
18.
Oh, that's,
Text 16.
yeah, it should be 18 text 16. That's 17 text 16. Yes. Yeah. Tatraivam shati kartaram katma nama kevalam tuya pasyatya krita buddhitvan nasa pashyate dumati tatraivan sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pasyatya krita buddhitvan nasa pashyati durmati tatraivam sati kartaram mama nam kevalam tuya pasyati akrita buddhitvam nasa pashyati durmati tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pashyati akrita buddhitvam nasa pashyati durmati tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuya pasyati akrita buddhitvam nasa pashyati durmati.
तत्रैवं सति कर्तारम्
Tatvamam sati kartaram
आत्मानं केवलं तु य
Atmanam kevalam tuya
पश्यति अकृता बुद्धित्वान्
Pasyati akrita buddhitvam
न स पश्यति दुर्मति
Nasa pashyati durmati. Transliteration. Tatra,
तत्र
there,
there
evam,
एवं
thus, sati,
सति
being, kartaram,
कर्तरं
the worker, atmanam,
आत्मनं
himself, kevalam,
केवलं
only, tu,
तु
but,
but
yaha,
यः
anyone,
anyone
pashyati,
पश्यति
sees,
sees
akrita buddhitvat,
अकृतबुद्धित्वात्
due to an intelligence, na,
न
never,
एव
saha,
सः
he,
हि
pashyati,
पश्यति
sees, durmati, foolish. Prabhupada's translation. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the five factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Repeat after me. Therefore,
therefore
one who thinks himself
thinking himself
the only doer, not considering the five factors,
not considering the five factors
is certainly not very intelligent
certainly not very intelligent
and cannot see things as they are.
and cannot see things as they are.
Bhaktivedanta Paput. A foolish person cannot understand that the supersoul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions. Although the material cause of the place, the worker, the endeavor, and the senses, the final cause is the Supreme, the personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should see not only the four material causes, but the supreme efficient cause as well. One who does not see the supreme thinks himself to be the doer. So this Namam Vishnu Pada Krishna Pristha Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Name and Assistance of you. Gunavan Vitali Vishesha Sinyavadi Pastita Vishitalini. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shabita Giradhar Srisadi Guna Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Krishna is trying to show us the perfection of renunciation. And the perfection of renunciation starts with basically one understanding: I am not this body. I am not this body. Because if you are this body, then whatever the body does, you feel that that is part of you. But in real sense, the body and your identity, I, are separate and independent. They only come to interact to fulfill certain particular desires that the soul might have. And that way, by trying to fulfill those desires, one tries to see exactly how to reach in a way of fulfilling the desires of the senses. But in trying to do so, we are being told that we are not the doers. Ultimately, we have the super soul who is within us, and we understand from this verse that material causes are set and fixed in a way that there's the place, there's the worker, there's the endeavor, there are the senses that act on these things, and ultimately the supreme controller, the super soul, who gives directions. Unfortunately, modern man does not know how to listen to the super soul. So we find ourselves a lot of times in a dilemma, trying to use our own senses, trying to make ourselves to be like small gods. We have a lot of philosophies these days, practically across all religions. Every religion has a personalist and impersonalist. It's not only within the Vedas. Whether you go to Christianity, whether you go to Islam, whether you go to any other religion, you'll find that impersonalism has actually spread its roots to all these faces. And that does bring a lot of dilemma, because impersonalism makes one to be lost, not to know who he is, what he is, why he is here, whether there's a supreme being or not, and how to survive and live in this earthly plane. So we find that being lost in those activities, we are overwhelmed by the present day philosophers and religionists, pseudo-religionists, who come into existence and try and tell us, oh, you know you are God. In a sense, they're right. Yes, we are all God, because we are part and parcel of God. But we are small gods. And we are not only small gods, but we are servitor gods. We are there to serve. We are not there to receive service. But a lot of us in the world today, we try and put ourselves in a position where we try and receive service. We are the ones who think that I am the boss, I am this, I am that. And it brings a lot of confusion in our day-to-day dealings. Even in Kenya's current political situation, you can see that the landscape is changing practically every day. The landscape is changing every day, because they find that I had this desire to try and fulfill this through this, but it's not working. So what do? I shift. So everybody is trying to look for a good bargain in a bad situation. The situation is already bad, but they're trying to look for something good, making the same mistakes, expecting to find a different result. That cannot be possible. So completely impossible. So you find that the pseudo-religionists coming with their theories, unfortunately, is the innocent man who isn't aware, who does not have the knowledge of the Gita. And that is why we actually thank Srila Prabhupada so much, that he brought the Gita to the world. In fact, Prabhupada's effort has made the Gita known all over the world. Previously, it was only known within a few circles. People who had studied Indiology, and basically the people in India. But even the people in India, they only knew a few verses of the Bhagavad Gita. They didn't know the full purpose, the full impact of what the Bhagavad Gita contained. So, through Prabhupada's efforts, he has brought us this knowledge so that we can be relieved, so that we can use it as a check and balance in our everyday life. It's not just there to be read or there to be sung, but it is there to be practiced. We have to practice what we read. We have to practice what is written in the book to find actually the real taste. Bhagavad Gita, Thakur calls that taste ruchi. We have to find the ruchi, the taste, in the practice of devotional service. And because without that taste, we cannot follow. We'll just fall into Maya. We'll just be like everybody else. And someone will come with an idea and say, oh yes, let us go. But if you are in a platform of knowledge, you think back and say, stop. What does the Gita say? I remember in the introduction of Shiva Upanishad, when Prabhupada was giving a lecture in Cornwall, in London, he was talking about people going down in India, and where if somebody asked somebody something, they would ask him, what is it? You mean that I cannot question you? Is that a Vedic injunction? Because he was trying to explain that the Vedic injunctions cannot be questioned. They are already tasted, proved, and confirmed, because they are coming from the highest source. Therefore, you find that practically every religion, you find what is in the Gita. will be found in every religion. But there is more in the Gita than what we find in other religions. The other religions are only, it's like a facet of a jewel. But the jewel has got so many facets, the cuts. So the other religions are just there. An aspect of it will shine through. But with the Gita shines through and through. That's why Krishna says that this knowledge previously was sought and spoken to the sun god. But after some time, it seems to have been lost. So Krishna had to re-establish the parampara, this time not through the sun god, but through Arjuna. A lot of times I've heard people give lectures, and they always only talk about Krishna's useful form. But if you look at pictures of Krishna and Arjuna, they were age mates. And even in the pictures, they're still the same. So by the time that Arjuna was going to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna was over 100 years old. Yeah? Nobody had any points of that out. Arjuna was over 100 years old. He was not that young. So we find that through the association with Krishna, there's the rub-off effect of aspects of the Supreme being rubbed off on the chela or on the associate. So that the youthfulness of Krishna could also be reflected and realized in Arjuna, Arjuna being his closest friend and also his devotee. So even as devotees, we should be actually reflecting the positive aspects of Krishna. That is how we know how close we are serving Krishna. We can just check the qualities of Krishna as is given in Bhagavad Gita, as is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, as is enacted in the practice of the books of the 16 Swamis, and through that we will find out exactly how close are we to Krishna. We realize how close we are to Krishna by how similar our actions, our thoughts are to Krishna. How much we think about Krishna. It is not a question of saying, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. No. It goes deeper than that. It takes commitment. That commitment has to be positive. Not only commitment, but it has to be positive. Positive with a goal. What is our goal? Prema Bhakti. Love of God that takes us back home, back to God. Otherwise, we just remain in this material plane. That even in such a way that we find, I might be a devotee, yes, but my actions do not show that I'm interested in going back home, back to God. I might try to do everything superficially, yes. Everything that you see in me will be that of a devotee. But in my heart, in my mind, and in my heart of hearts, and my activities, my subtle activities, my subtle reflections do not reflect the aim of a devotee. Because the aim of a devotee is ultimately thinking always, what can I do to serve Krishna? How best can I serve Krishna? Fortunately, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it very, very easy because he brought us the Sankirtan Yagya. Sankirtan Yagya is in one way the cheapest of all the yagyas. Because if you remember when Yudhishthira Maharaj had to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice after the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he had to send his brothers to go around the world to conquer the world with the sacrificial horse. They had to go and collect wealth. They had to bring up all these different sages and saints and demigods to come and attend. It had to take a lot of planning, more planning than what we do today with our businesses. Some of us today, when you want to start a business, you can actually start it from your own pocket. And you start a business and you could continue. But to perform a sacrifice would take, it took a very long time to plan. If I remember, it was a minimum of 18 months for the Rajasuya sacrifice, organizing, collecting, arranging, and inviting all the kings to come and attend. And even once they had attended, then you had now to start picking up who is going to preside over this, who is going to preside over that, and allocate duties accordingly. And then you'd go and bring the Brahmins who are smart enough to try and chant the proper mantras, where even if one mantra went wrong, the whole sacrifice was spoiled. But as we have the Hare Krishna mantra, and the Hare Krishna mantra is so good that when I was the earlier days of ISKCON, we were told that the Hare Krishna mantra is so good that as we speak, as I'm speaking, Krishna is just waiting to hear his name. So if I say a K somewhere, then he's going to wait. Where is the R going to come from? Where? He says K, that's a good. Then he's now waiting. Where is the R going to come from? Where is the Ish going to come from? Where is the Na going to come from? And it's picked up from different words. And by that, actually, it gives me the point that I'm actually chanting the holy names without knowing it. So we find that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made it so easy for us that he knows we are completely inappropriate with our dealings, because strangely enough, Kali Yuga was here when Krishna was here. Kali Yuga was here when he was here. And but then, as soon as he left, because of his presence, Kali Yuga could not grow his horns and show his clothes. Yeah? Like a cat or a lion, when they want to do something, they first go show their clothes. Kali Yuga could not bring out those forces. But as soon as Krishna went, and Maharaj Parikshit came in as the king, then he started trying to find places. And because Maharaj Parikshit was also such a wise king and he could not find any place, Kali had to go and take shelter of him to be allocated space to live. So Maharaj Parikshit gave certain particular spaces for Kali to reside in. And that is how actually Kali came in. And he's like, the proverbial, Prabhupada gives the example of the camel that goes on, you have a tent, and the camel is outside. So it comes and he says, no, let me just put my head in. So he puts his head in. Another time he says, no, what about this right hoof? And what about the left foot? Let me just put them in. And what about my legs are still outside? So let me turn in. And as soon as he turns, then the whole tent is gone. That's how actually Kali Yuga also came in. Kali Yuga came in slowly, step by step, and eventually took over the whole world. And he's taken over the whole world. I was thinking today sometime about the Kenyan political situation, and looking at it and asking myself that we have what we call a bottoms-up economy. Can somebody explain what a bottoms-up economy is? Because if you're told bottoms-up, it means that it's completely upside down, topsy-turvy, therefore it can't work. And somebody is propagating that and being elected by it. Somebody is telling you, I'm going to turn everything upside down, I'm not going to do anything properly. And you elect him and say, yeah, you're the right president. You know, I'm wondering exactly where are we heading to? Where are we heading to? Where are we heading to? So we have to be really careful about what we say, that some of the slogans that we have to be really practical. But in a way, they have proved that actually they are right, because from the time they got into power, nothing positive has come. Let's just be honest. The debt has been more than tripled in 2 years. The economic developments that were being taken before are stagnant. All we have is just quarrels and quarrels here and there, infights and outfights and left and right, where everybody blaming the other person. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Typical Kali Yuga mentality. Nobody wants to say, I am responsible for this, I'm accountable for this. We don't have any Raja rishis to advise the government, because most governments do not even accept religion. Governments go to church to sanctify their wrongdoings, okay? But they don't accept the advice that the church or the priest give them. They're not willing to listen. So why should we even associate in the first place? But previously, if you had a Ram Raj, for example, you would be having a completely different situation in this place, because everybody will be accountable. But we make laws in a way that they sort of hide what we are trying to do and protect us while we are in power, hoping that by the time we leave power, nobody else will be able to follow us up. Nobody wants to take responsibility or accountability for what they do. And it is very, very unfortunate that we are in such a situation. So, in today's verse here, Krishna is saying that the four material causes are actually the place. We can say the place can be either the planet, the country, the county, goes down right down to the body, the smallest place of activity, the body. Okay? Yes. The worker is the individual Atma, because the individual Atma, he might not be working, but his desires bring forth action. And the desires bring out the endeavors that you want to perform. I have this desire, therefore I have to do this. Right. I have this desire, therefore I have to perform this to achieve that desire. And how do I perform that to achieve the desire? We have our senses. Okay. It's here, which is this. So the means to fulfill all these desires is through the senses. But Prabhupada has taught us that the senses are imperfect. Prabhupada has actually taught us through the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. If you look at the second chapter, I think it's chapter 2, text 60, 61, 62, talks about how inebriating the senses are. Prabhupada also gives the example, we are so proud of our eyes. Someone will come and ask you, oh, show me God. But you ask him, do you have the eyes to see God? But at the same time, also ourselves as devotees, we pray every morning, Premanjana Chulita Bhakti Vilochanana. Premanjana, the eyes filled with the sound of love. That is how you can see the spiritual personality of God. You can't go there and tell him, show me God, show me God. Those eyes have to be tinged with love. Without love, you cannot see him. Our senses of smell, our senses of hearing, they're all limited. They're all conditional. The ears can only hear certain particular vibrations, not the entire spectrum of vibration. The eyes can only see certain particular wavelength of light, not all. Our sense of smell is also limited to certain particular sense. There are certain particular sense you can't even smell. Our taste buds are equally defective. You can only have 4 or 5 different tastes. But there are so many different tastes in the world. Our skin, the sense of touch, is so limited also. Yeah. But we still pride ourselves, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. You've already been told that if all your senses are imperfect, okay? Your senses are imperfect. One, you're subject to commit mistakes. Two, you're bound to lie to other people. You're perfect. Then where is our perfection? Our perfection only comes when we come now to develop to be Krishna Nitya Das, eternal servants of Krishna. That is the only way that our perfection can be achieved. That's the only way that the ultimate senses can actually be properly engaged. Otherwise, they'll just be looking for fleeting attachments, trying to fulfill certain material concepts and desires, ideologies, and dreams that are insatiable, that are unrealistic, and that cannot be achieved. So we have to learn from Krishna how best to do that. And it comes, one good, something that one philosopher once said, he said, if you cannot be able to love the person that you see in front of you, how can you be able to love the God whom you're trying to worship, whom you might not see? Fortunately, with ourselves, we have the Archa Vigraha, who is here. But even for us, a lot of times, sometime back, my Guru Maharaj used to be very funny. He used to tell us, you go to Arti, and then you stand there like the Murti. So you are the Murti to dance for you, or you're supposed to dance for the Murti? You are the Murti to dance for you, or you're supposed to be dancing for the Murti? Because Lord Chaitanya's movement is all about singing, dancing, being happy, being merry. Yes. We are not supposed to be solemn. There's times for meditation. Yes. There's time to be serious. Yes. But the chanting of Hare Krishna should bring joy to one, and one should be exuberant and express that joy in the arti and in all the worship. Thank you very much. Is there any question or any? Yeah, Srila Prabhupada ki.